everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel Online Study for You, one step solution for all your placement needs. I hope you all are well and safe. First of all, if you are new to this channel or if you haven't subscribed this channel till now, make sure to subscribe. This channel is definitely going to be very helpful for you. Also, don't forget to be a part of our Telegram channel. The link for the Telegram channel is given in the description itself. Well, we have planned to start something amazing for you. Yes, we have planned to start data structure series for all of you. You know that during placement, data structure is very, very important. If you are clear with all the concepts of data structure, then that is going to be very helpful for you in your placements and for further preparation as well. Right, so that's why we have planned to start a series. Alternatively, like on alternate days, we'll be uploading one video related to the data structure. We'll be starting from the basics, right? So this is the effort that we are putting for you. Now what you have to do, just simply watch the videos, learn from them. Also make sure to share this video among your friends as well, so that even they can get the benefit, right? Also, please comment that do you want this data structure series, do you want this data structure series in alternate days, if it is going to be beneficial for you or not. So make sure to put your comment, and accordingly we'll decide to plan further in this. Right, so without any delay, let's start further in the video. In this video, first of all, I'll be introducing you about data structure, and then I'll be introducing you with a commonly used data structure, that is arrays. So everything will be from basic, so that you can get the proper understanding of each and everything. So without any delay, let's start. Okay, data structure. Now, by the name itself, you can get the idea that they are talking about to structure something. To structure what? Structure data. Or basically, you can say that they are talking about to organize your data. Organize the data where? Organize the data in the memory. This is what do you understand by data structure. So this data structure is not about a particular language. It's about the algorithms that will help us to organize our data, right? Now this data structure series will be using C language for coding purpose, because C is mostly understood by most of the languages, by most of the students. So we'll be using that. Right, so now if you'll be classifying your data structure, so here we have linear data structure and non-linear data structure. Okay, what is linear data structure? So the arrangement of data in a sequential manner. This is involved in linear data structure, where your data, your elements are arranged in a sequential manner. Also, the elements are attached to its previous or next element. Talking about the example, so here you can see we have array, stack, queue, linked list. So these are what? These are linear data structure, because here elements, here data is arranged in a sequential manner. Also, we have non-linear data structure. Now, what is non-linear data structure? These are the data structures where data elements are not arranged in a sequential or linear manner, like as we have graphs or trees, right? So now you must have got the idea about like what is data structure. It's all about organizing your data in an efficient manner. To improve the efficiency, we have different data structures, and everyone is having its own role. You cannot say that graph is better or tree is better or array is better, linked list is better. It depends on the scenario where you are using this data structure. So everyone is having its own role. So that's why it's important for you to have a proper understanding of all of this, right? So now let's start with the most commonly used data structure, that is array. Okay, so first of all, we will understand that why array is needed. If something is being introduced to you, then obviously there must be some requirement. There must be some requirement, there must be some need. Only then something will be introduced. So for example, let's suppose that you are a teacher and you want to store the marks of the students that are present in your class. Let's suppose there are 50 students, and if you want to store their marks, that how you can do? Simply you can take 50 variables. Okay, what you can do, the most basic approach that you can follow is you can take 50 variables, where each variable is holding the mark of each student. For example, you are having marks 1, that is holding the marks of student 1, then marks 2, then marks 3, and this is how it will continue up to marks 50. Now just think about it. Is this an efficient approach? You are taking 50 variables and obviously they'll be occupying space in the memory also. And for a programmer, is it easy to remember all these variables? Don't you think that you are trying to make your program very complex using these 50 variables? And it's just a simple scenario I'm taking. Usually, with the perspective of industry, if I'm talking about, you have to deal with lots of complex problems where this 50 variables is not like the data is not going to be of 50 students only and so and so. So that's why we cannot depend on this variables approach. We cannot just depend on the variable to store our data. So there was a requirement of a new data structure that can hold similar type of data. Now you can see we have marks 1, marks 2, marks 3 up to marks 50. So here all the data is of similar type. So here comes the role of array. Here comes the role of array. Now simply if I'm talking about the definition of the array, so it is basically defined as the collection of similar type of data items. Listen to it carefully. This is a very important point. Similar type of data items. It means you can store the data elements that are of similar type, like as integer type, float type, character type, and this is how it will go. Right now it is the simplest data structure where you can access each and every element by using its index number. Now what is this index and how you can access, we will discuss about this. So for example, what you can do, you can take an array. So for declaring an array, first of all you have to mention the type of your array. It means that what kind of data your array is holding, you have to mention that. So let's suppose int, as of now I want to store marks, so I'm taking the type as int. Then you have to give some name to your array, so let it be marks, and then you have to define the size of your array as well. So this can be a disadvantage of the array, that at the compile time itself you have to mention the size of your array. Before running the program you have to mention that this is this much, this much is the space that I want, this much is the memory that I want for storing my elements, right? So here we are having 50 students, so we have taken this as 50, right? Then equal to, then you have to put curly brackets and you can simply mention all the data that you want to store in this array. So at the static, like at the compile time itself, you have to mention the size, right? Now what is the disadvantage associated with that? Let's suppose I have taken the array of size 50 and I'm storing just two elements. Don't you think this is a wastage of memory? Obviously it is. Or there can be a scenario that at runtime, or like now I want to store data of 100 students, the marks of 100 students. So you cannot, so in that case what you have to take, you have to take a fresh new array of size 100, and then you have to shift the data from this array to that particular array, and this is how it will work. Well, we will discuss about advantages, disadvantages later, but just for your information I told you. Okay, so let's suppose we are having an array. Let me give you an example. We are having an array int arr equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. So this array consisting of these four elements 1, 2, 3, 4. Also, it's not important that you have to write size here when you are initializing at the time of declaration. So you can see when I am declaring this array arr, at the same time I am putting this, I am assigning this value, or I am initializing this. So at that time it's not important, you can mention the size or you cannot mention the size, it's on you, right? If you are not initializing, then you have to mention the size here in the square brackets. Fine, I hope this is clear. Now if I want to access this one, now how can I do so? So there is a concept of indexing that we are going to use. Now the index of an array starts from 0 itself. So well, there is no such specific reason for this, but by convention it is started from 0. So first element will be at the zeroth index, next one at the first index, next one at the second index, next one at the third index, and this is how it will go. See, accessing data is super easy in case of array. Now how you can access, so suppose I want to access this one, so simply you have to mention the name of your array, that is ARR, then square brackets, then you have to mention the index, okay, on which your data is stored. So you can see one I want to access and that is stored on index 0. So ARR of 0 you have to do. So what is the data stored at the 0th index? That is 1. So that will be accessed. If you want to access this 2, so again same thing you have to do. What is the index associated with 2? That is 1. So 2 will be accessed, and this is how you can access the data using array. Right, so now you must have understood this, that how you can access the data using your array. Now in array data is stored at a contiguous locations in the main memory. Okay, so that is a very important point. Please note it, that in array data is stored at contiguous locations in the main memory. So that's why the name of the array, let's suppose here, what is the name of array? That is ARR. So this name itself represents the base address of the array. What does it represent? Base address of the array. Right, now what is this base address? Base address simply showing that where the first element of your array is stored, right, where the first element of your array is stored in the memory. This is what, this is the base address. So let's suppose this one is stored at the memory 100, this, okay. Now you must be knowing that what is the memory that is occupied by integer. You can see there here this array is of integer type. So it sometimes depend on the compiler also, but generally integer occupies 4 bytes, right? So let's suppose the address of this, of the first element of array ARR is 100. Then next one is going to be, the address of next element is going to be 100 plus 4. 4 is what? The size of the integer. So you can see that this one is of integer type, so that's why it has occupied the 4 bytes. Now as if elements are stored in a contiguous memory allocation way in array, so next element will be stored at 104 location, next element will be stored at 108 location, next element will be stored at 112 location. So this is how it will increase. Okay, so you must be getting the idea. That's why it's very easy to access the element in case of array, because the elements are stored in a contiguous manner in the memory, right? Now let me show you a practical example of the same so that you can get a proper understanding of what we are discussing till now. Okay, so let's suppose we want to take an array. So first of all, you have to mention the data type or the return type. So that is integer, the name of your array. So I am naming it as ARR as of now. Now, as if this is an array, you have to mention this square brackets also. As at the time of declaration itself, I am mentioning the data present in this array. So it's not important to mention the size of the array. So let's suppose this is consisting of 12, 33, 44, 55, 66, right? Now if I want to access this 12, so what I have to do, so simply let's do printf %d /n ARR of 0, right? If you want to access this element is stored at the first index, then what you have to do, simply instead of 0 you have to mention 1. For second also, if you want to access the element that is stored at the second index, you have to mention 2 here. Similarly, this is what you have to do. So let's run our code. So you can see we are getting the expected output, that is 12, 33, 44. 12, 33, 44. Right. Now if you want to know the base address, I have already told you that the name of the array represents the, what is the name? That is ARR, that represents the base address of the array, right? So if you want to know the base address, so how you can do, so simply mention printf %d ARR, or Other way is that you can simply do %d address of ARR. So let's run this. Okay, so you can see what is the address. Let's ignore the warning as of now. This is the address. So address can be any random thing. We are not aware of this, but the name of the array. So basically here we are not using any address of operator. Then also we are getting the same address. And here I'm using this ampersand. This ampersand is what? Address of operator. Let me write this also. Address of operator. So it basically tell you the address associated with a variable or a data structure. So here you can see both the values are equal. So the name of the array shows the base address. Now you must be clear about this, right? Now what if I want to take these array values as input from the user? How can I do so? Or if I simply want to print these values, I don't want to manually do this printf for ARR of 0, ARR of 1. Let's suppose if you are having 50 values in your array, so doing like this will be a very hectic process. So what you can do, let me comment this, traversal of the array. Traversal simply means that to go through each and every element present in the array. So how you can do so? So for this we'll be using a for loop. Right, you can see that we are repeatedly doing the same process again and again. First you will be going to this element, then this element, then this element. So for this we'll be using a for loop, that for. Now you know that indexing starts from 0, so we'll be taking a variable I, starting it from 0, and this loop will run till the size of array. I less than 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this array consists of 5 elements. So that's why we are running this loop till the time I less than 5, because last element will be stored at the 4th index. And as soon as the value of I is going to be 5, 5 less than 5, condition will become false. So we will come out of the loop. So here is our loop. Now what we'll be doing, let me write a message also here. The array elements are, right, and here simply a print message, printf %d ARR of I. So initially I value will be 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. This is how you can print all the elements that is present in your array. So now let's run our code. So you can see we are getting the array elements are 12, 33, 44, 55, 66. So this is how you can traverse the elements of your array. You can do the traversal in the array. Now the question arises, if I want to take this array elements as input from the user, right? So in that case, what you have to do? So let's see this as well. So first of all, you have to mention the, let's suppose your array name is ARR itself. So you have to mention the size of your array. I have already told you that at the compile time itself, you have to mention the size. So either you can take this size as input from the user according to his or her requirements, or as of now, let me take 6 here, right? And now what we'll be doing, we'll be simply taking a for loop again for taking the values as input. So for int I equal to 0, I less than 6, that is the size of the array, I plus plus, right? It's not, see, it's not like this. If you have mentioned the size as 6, so you cannot take you cannot store values less than that. It's upon your requirements. If you want to store only 2 values in your array, that's okay, that's fine. Okay, but you cannot store values greater than that of your size, right? Because at the compile time itself you have mentioned that this array can store 6 elements only. Okay, so I hope that should be clear to you. Now what you have to do, so scanf, you know that scanf is used for taking input from the user. So scanf %d ampersand ARR of I. So what we are doing here, we are simply taking the array values as input from the user. Now if you want to print them as well, so we are, let me copy the same thing, and here let me write printf, and let me remove this as well, right? So now let's run our code. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So this is the input that I have given. This is the array values that I have provided, array elements, and you can see we are getting the same array elements as output, right? So this is how you can take input and you can print the array elements. So that part must be clear to you. Now you can take array of any data type. Let's suppose you want to take an array of characters, so you can do that as well. So char arr equal to a b c d, and again you want to print them, so you can do simply I less than 1 2 3 4. So only 4 elements are here, I plus plus, simply printf, and what I'm going to mention arr of I. So let's run our code now. So you can see we are getting ABCD as the output. Now if you want an array of float values, so you can mention that as well. So 23.0, 50, 55.67, 99.0, 78.0, and here instead of C you have to mention F. That's it. So let's run our code now. So 1 2 3 4, again we are having 4 values only. So you can see accordingly we are getting the values. So it's on you that whether you want to take an array of integer characters or so, but whatever it is, your array should be consisting of similar data type only. Let's do one thing. Let's do one experiment. If I'm trying to put a string value here, that is Soumya, and if I'm going to run this, you can see we are getting an error that incompatible types when initializing type float using type char. So that is not allowed. You can take, like it is specifically mentioned that array can consist of similar data items only, right? So that is not allowed in case of array. So that part must be clear to you. Okay, so now let's talk about the types of array. So we have, as of now, the array that we were discussing, that is 1D array, also known as one dimensional array. We have 2D array, that is two dimensional array, and then multi-dimensional array or ND array, you can say n dimensional or multi-dimensional also, right? So 2D array and all we'll be discussing further in the videos, and it also depends on your support. So make sure to share this video among your friends as well, so that even they can learn from these videos, right? Now, as if I already told you about this thing, that in an array elements are stored in a contiguous manner. So there is a simple formula that you can use to determine the address of a particular, or the address of an ith element present in your array. So let's suppose if we are having an array int a, right? So if you want to calculate the address of an ith element of your array, so what we can do, what is the formula? Simply a of I equal to base address of your array, base address, plus size. Now what is this size representing? Size is basically the size of single element that is present in your array. That basically depends on the data type of your array. So as of now, that is int. So int is going to occupy how much space? Int is occupy 4 bytes in the memory, right? So in that case, the size value is going to be 4. Next, size into I minus, that is the ith index, I minus first index. The first index, you know, that is what? That is 0 always. So you have to mention 0 here. So let's take an array. Let me show you the example kind of thing. A equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's suppose 0, 1, 2, 3. You want to know the address of element is stored at third index, that is a of 3. So simply you have to mention the base address. Let's suppose the base address is 100. So I'm going to mention 100 plus size. So basically this array is consisting of integer elements, so that is going to be 4 into I values what? 3. 3 minus first index is 0, so that is going to be 100 plus 4 into 3, 12, so 112. Even you can check the same here also. So 2 will be 104, that will be 108, and that will be 112, right? So 112 will be a correct answer. So this is the formula that we can use to determine the address of an ith element of that is present in our array. Right now, what are the operations that we can perform on our array? This is our next question, that what of kind of operations you can perform. So these are insertion, insertion, deletion, searching, sorting, updation. So these are the operations that you can perform in your array. You can insert the values, you can delete the values, you can search for the values, you can sort the values. For example, you want to sort the elements present in your array in ascending order or descending order. You can update some value, that is also possible. For example, you are having this array consisting of elements 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to change this value that is stored at the second index, so what simply you have to do, you have to mention the name of your array, the index where your element is stored, so a of 2, and then you have to provide the value. So a of 2 equal to 50. This is what you can do. Let me show you the practical of the same so that you can get a proper idea. For example, here we are having an array arr. Now what I want to do, I want to update the value present at this first index. So first of all, let me print the same value, %d arr of 1. Okay, and now I'm modifying this value. So I want the element stored at first index to be 89. Okay, and now if I will print the same thing again, so let's see if this value has been modified or not. So let's run our code. So you can see initially the value was 55. At first index the value was 55, and now after this updation operation it has been changed to 89. So this is how you can update the values present in your array, right? So this was a kind of introduction of array. I hope you must have understood all the basic concepts related with array. Further in the video we'll be discussing about the operations that we can perform and how we can perform these operations. So make sure to subscribe this channel so that you can stay tuned about upcoming videos. Thank you for watching this video. Bye bye.